Hey guys, John Casey here, coming at you on the live video. I just wanted to talk to you guys about a few things about what's been going on. I really wanted to see, some of your guys' questions you have. So that's why I'm also doing a live chat. I want to see what you guys are thinking about, what I'm maybe not addressing that you're seeing is going on in the community. Other than that, I just want to readdress the Lori Rook thing going on. I did go to her event last week, and she did not have a response ready for me, even though I had sent her multiple messages beforehand. And then she had incorrectly responded to me on another comment, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to your event this Saturday," or I think it was a Tuesday or something. "I'm going to your event this day. I'd love for you to have a direct response ready for this." And then I go and I meet her. And then she, kind of sidesteps the whole thing, says, "Hey, talk to my manager lady and we can try to get a time together." And I've messaged this lady 3-4 different times throughout the week and haven't had a single response back. So that's a little discouraging. And I went ahead and I called her today too, the assistant. She didn't pick up. I left a message. Nothing happened. And so that was super disappointing. I'm like, dude, come on, seriously. Like, super easy answer is all I need, a yes or a no. I mean, I can literally break down the bill within a minute, what it's all about. I guess she'd have to believe me, but still, she says she's a lawyer. So if she's a lawyer, I feel like she could easily read this bill very quickly and establish whether or not it's actually good for Missourians or not, because again, it puts foreign nations before American business owners. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I know I kind of go in circles about what I'm talking about over and over and over again, but I try to just kind of let some of the newer people know what's going on, what I'm going after and why I'm going after it, and kind of the motivations of kind of why I'm starting to run. But if you guys don't know, Senate Bill 739 was signed into law in 2020, making it to where anyone doing business with the state has to essentially sign that you are not going to stand against the state of Israel or anyone doing business with the state of Israel. That basically is anyone with 10 or more employees, or the contract is $100,000 or more. So in my opinion, it really includes almost everything. But even if it didn't, it's still ridiculous, and it's completely overstepping anything that we have. I was looking into it, and as far as I can tell from what I've seen, it's illegal actually for like the state of Missouri, for instance, to bar you from boycotting another state in the United States. But for some reason, it's not illegal for them to do the same thing for a foreign nation. So completely ridiculous. So this is something that, if it's not going to get changed, it eventually needs to get challenged in some way. And, if I eventually get elected into this national position, I aim to strike down this individual law, because it is completely un-American, puts, foreign nations over Americans. And there's other laws we actually have across the nation that are just like this. They're called anti-BDS laws. They were really pushed forward after October 7th. And a lot of the anti-Israel stuff you saw, in a lot of the campuses and stuff like that. So the huge crackdown you guys saw over the last couple of years came from that. And, well, actually, that was 2020, so it was before that. That's actually crazy. Well, either way, that's where actually a lot of it came even after that. There was a huge floodgate after that. But that's where you had a lot of people actually getting forced out of positions in colleges and stuff like that, because they had a critical stance of Israel. Going on from that, that was super disappointing either way that Lori Rook was not able to so far respond. Even now, I did send her a message today with the screenshots. I'm like, "Hey, your assistant has not said anything back." And I sent her a screenshot of the bill summary as well that you can easily find, explaining briefly what it is. And I again was like, "Hey, I'm not looking for anything crazy. I'm just looking for a yes or a no, and again, it's like, if we're going to do any wars as well, I don't know why we're doing another war in the Middle East. I feel like that's totally America last. Trump himself said, this is something that I do not want to do. If you vote for Kamala, that's going to be a war in Iran. And, here we are in a war in Iran. And then on top of it, the Pentagon not so long ago, before this happened, said, hey, this is going to be a bad shot. Do not take it right now. And actually, the IDF themselves said the same thing. But Netanyahu came over to the president and persuaded him that this is what we needed to do, and that also, hey, we're actually going to do it. And if you don't want to help us, then so be it. So Marco Rubio actually came out after the fact and said that's what happened, and basically Israel forced our hand into this situation that we're in now, where the Strait of Hormuz is closed, and there's this huge, tightening of everything going on when it comes to resources and everything going on in the United States that needs to get transported here, fertilizer. So now they're saying there's going to be a huge fertilizer shortage, which is going to lead to even more famine and so on and so forth. And, of course, it's going to drive prices up. And now there's this huge divide going on in the Middle East where, the president now is stuck. He goes, basically we have this huge reliance on the petrodollar. And if we were to let them basically have the Strait of Hormuz, that would completely lose power for us in the petrodollar and make it to where, basically it turns our economy upside down. So now we're in a spot now where we feel like we have to have the Strait of Hormuz, which of course we really do need if we want to actually maintain the petrodollar and have control of what's going on around the Middle East, which of course we would want to have. But again, it's a situation that was not as bad as it currently is if we wouldn't have done anything, or at least not right then. And I had a conversation with someone that is very for the war, and I actually see a lot of reasons why. He's talking about Hezbollah and everything like that. And I don't agree with having Hezbollah, and I don't agree with the Houthis, and I don't agree with having, the Iranians in control of everything either, but at the same time, if it was not a good shot to take and the Pentagon said, hey, it's a 90% chance things are not going to go well right now, then he shouldn't have taken the shot. And again, he should have reeled back Israel, hey, we are completely financing your state and its ability to be there. So you need to listen to us. And if this isn't a good time, then we're not going to do it. And that didn't happen. So, I just feel like it's a complete betrayal of what's been going on pretty much this entire time, this entire presidency of what we've been seeing. We wanted all these America First policies pushed forward. We wanted immigration restrictions pushed forward, and yet we're not seeing that. We're not seeing that from any of our representatives as well. I go onto the job sites every single day, and I don't see anything actually happening. They said, hey, we passed the big, beautiful bill. We had all this funding for ICE. And I'm like, okay, cool. And so then I go and I call ICE because all this stuff I'm seeing, and I sit on hold for an hour. And then it ends. Nothing happens. And then I call again, sit on hold another, I think it was 2 hours. And then nothing happens. And I'm like, are you kidding me? We just passed the big, beautiful bill, I think a week ago at this point. And apparently we have all this funding, and it's nothing but AI robots and nothing going anywhere. And I'm like, really? I just feel like as a worker, I'm just getting screwed, and nothing's happening, and then even if you're the guy who tries to do the right thing and go, hey, there's this weird thing going on over here, maybe you should guys check it out. I feel like you can't even do that, so that really forced me into feeling like I had to do something. I had to do something. I have to do something because, again, no one's focusing on this. Eric Burleson is not focusing on this. He's not for immigration restrictions. I talked to him. I found this guy. He was at a high school, and I waited outside the high school library for him to get out, and I confronted him. I said, hey, do you have any plans for any immigration restrictions, like repealing the Hart-Celler Act of 1965 or the Immigration Act of 1990? These huge acts that are causing all these issues. And he's like, no, I'm only basically trying to do maybe a tax incentive or something like that. That's what he said. But it's actually something we've not seen from him even still. That kind of brainstorming, sidestepping thing he kind of mentioned before. We've still not seen anything like that. And instead he wants to actually try and repeal prevailing wage. And I know you guys have heard me talk about that many times, but it's just so irritating because it feels like a direct attack on the middle class. Again, I talk to this guy, I find this guy face to face. I go, hey, there's all these issues happening on our job site. It seems like 60-80% of my job sites are all foreign-born workers, and you are not passing any immigration restrictions forward. And then now on top of it, he goes, bam, hey, I want to take away prevailing wage, because he wants it to where he thinks that basically, well, we can build more schools or whatever government thing we want to build if we're just paying less for the workers. Where, obviously that might be true, but I feel like the government would still make it to where that's not really going to happen, It seems like, we were to cut that money and somehow we're still spending that money, or maybe a couple thousand more even, That's how it seems like a lot of these government things go. We cut the funding to all the workers and somehow we're paying for all the same workers, or all the same amount of money. And now we have all foreign born workers and they're actually getting paid quite a bit less, but there's all this red tape, and you know how the government goes. They love to waste money. But either way, these prevailing wage jobs, I go on a prevailing wage job as a fire alarm guy. Like I work for the VA. I went over to Kansas, Topeka, Kansas, and I did their fire alarm system. They have a VESDA system. Basically, it circulates air throughout the whole area. And, it's constantly taking samples of air, but basically it's all PVC pipe or whatever. But anyway, while I'm doing this job, it's hard to not notice, especially when I'm on all these commercial jobs. And typically I'm on these commercial jobs and it's anywhere from 50, 60, 80% all foreign born workers, depending on what job it is, of course. Like the Element in Branson. If you go on the Branson Strip and you see the Element Hotel, I worked on that one. And the workers there, it seemed like it was about 80% or more all foreign-born workers. You talk to anyone there, almost none of them could speak English. And it was kind of wild, It's like, what's going on? And that's where I was asking a lot of my questions early on, too, whenever a lot of this stuff was happening. And I was like, dude, something needs to happen. But going back to the prevailing wage thing, I go to this prevailing wage job. I'm like, dude, what the heck's going on here? It seems like these are all Americans, And then it clicked with me. Oh, this is a prevailing wage job. And I think I talked to someone else next to me. I said, hey, have you noticed that almost all of our prevailing wage jobs have almost all American workers? And they said, yeah. And then I was like, that's crazy. And then next thing I know, Eric Burleson, hey, trying to repeal prevailing wage, which is just going to open up the doors even more to what we have currently having in the private sector, which is a flood of cheap immigrant labor to replace our normal American workers, and to encourage workers to leave those sectors like we're having happen en masse. When it comes to things like plumbing, that's something that's being even more infiltrated now in the local area. But I know in Texas, it's actually even worse. I talked to a guy over at the tire place over in Nixa. A guy named Sam, he had been a plumber for decades over in Texas, and he said he cannot live there anymore just because of how, all the foreign-born workers are there now, and he cannot find a job. He cannot quote a job or anything. He said you have to speak Spanish. If you can't speak Spanish, then you're basically out, And he had so many stories. I wish I could have set up an interview for this guy, because honestly, that is some of the best information you get is on the ground, the people who actually see it every day and experience it every day. I mean, I do too, but it's just not really the same thing if you're hearing it from the same guy all the time. It just, like, people already, I feel like, don't believe me off the bat, but if you're hearing from, other people that are in the trades that see what's going on, and especially areas that are highly affected, like Southern Texas he's from, where he felt like he had to actually leave that area because of the same thing that I'm talking about over there, and he said, oh, he's seeing it over here. He said, he mentioned a couple companies that are kind of coming the same way. And I don't want to say them out loud because I don't know how true it is. I didn't see it myself. I don't necessarily work with those same companies, but it's kind of insane to see, what you'll see across the board, how many guys you'll talk to. And it's not something that's just made up. Like, no, these jobs are actually being replaced because they're able to actually subvert the American worker, pay these guys less. And then, these other normal guys can't quote the job. They're losing the bid on the job, because they're quoting it out because they want to get their guys paid a decent amount. And so they're getting the job. They're not getting the job because they're maybe a little heavy on the quote, And so these guys are able to lowball the quote, get the job. And then, sooner than later, people are massively exiting these jobs. I mean, and then you talk to guys like on drywall, 60% foreign-born representation, flooring, same thing, roofing, same thing. A guy I work with now used to be a drywaller himself. He said, no, it's it's almost not profitable in the Springfield area because of the exact same thing that I've been talking about. And people just want to say it's hate, and it's not that at all. It's about putting the American worker first. And clearly we're not seeing that, especially from Eric Burleson. And I talked to this guy straight up in person, and he still does not want to advocate for any things I'm saying. And I messaged his staffers, and they actually messaged me back, which I thought was super cool. But I said, hey, I don't care who introduces these bills. I don't care if it's him or not. I'd love for him to do good, in my opinion. I'd love for him to introduce these bills. So that way I don't feel like I have to run for Congress, because I really don't want to. I feel like it's something that, I don't know, it just would be better if I could vote for the right guy, but I just don't have that opportunity. I don't have that option, so I guess if no one's going to do it, I guess it's me, if a better opportunity comes up in the next couple of years where there is somebody that's way more charismatic, has the same ideals as me, I by all means would be backing that guy. This is not, I don't want fame. I don't want any of that. I just want the right thing to happen. I just want to be able to go on the job site and things be taken care of. And I go, okay, I'm voting for the right guy. He's at least doing the right things. He's at least fighting the good fight. Well, we don't even have that. And I feel like a lot of the constituency is falling asleep to that. And all they hear is just Fox News talking points and dogma. And then they don't really realize what's actually happening in the community around them. Especially when it comes to the blue collar workers, a lot of them just get told to shut the F up, and deal with it, and they're supposed to be the tough guy. And then it seems like they just kind of keep their mouth shut, and because they don't want to look like they're, just, what's the more politically correct way of just complaining all the time. Yeah, it's of course a more politically correct way of saying that, but just constantly complaining, they don't want to hear that, or they don't want to lose their job, because they're saying something. And I know that I said something critical here and there. I'm like, what's going on with this? Like, you ask obvious questions and people are like, who do you work with? Like, they're trying to get you fired. And it's kind of wild. You can't just be someone telling the truth or seeking the truth or trying to do the right thing. It seems like sooner or later someone's going to mess with you or try to make you lose your job if you're just trying to do the right thing or what you believe is the right thing, And, if we're going to liberate, going back to the war thing, if we're going to liberate any country, it should be Canada. We have horrible things happening in Canada. I don't know if you know about the euthanasia happening over there, medical assisted, I know I can't say it on the internet, but a medical assisted suicide. They're trying to push forward. And then there's this guy that just recently got pulled over in his car and, was told that someone overheard him having a conversation in a coffee shop and said that he needs to be basically evaluated and put into custody. And then he got stopped. And then while he was talking to, I guess, a certified psychiatrist, the psychiatrist said, "You are certified." And then as soon as that happened, they were done talking. The psychiatrist talked to the officer, said he's certified. And then the guy got arrested right there and was taken away. And then it's kind of crazy to think about. They're doing medically assisted suicide, and then they're talking about people and taking their rights away and confining them because they don't like what they're saying. They're saying it's because, they're certified insane or something like that, And then you have the state in control of them, and one of the state's options is medically assisted suicide. It's kind of wild, So we have these crazy things going on in Canada, right north of our border. No one's doing anything about it. I feel like there's a lot of real tyranny happening there to Canadians. And if we're going to speak out and try to help anybody, I feel like it'd be them, to be honest with you. And then on top of it, the mass importation that they're seeing of the third world into Canada, something needs to happen there. But and then on top of it, this guy was speaking out about the Chinese coming into Canada. And I guess, I don't know how true it is. I haven't checked out these particular allegations, but them setting up like little police stations and basically infiltrating, town halls and stuff like that. He was just talking about these things out loud, and that's what got him declared insane and taken, essentially. But I heard it's a real thing that's going on there, and if that's true, then we definitely need to do something about it. I think we need to liberate the Canadians over the Iranians, for sure. I think we should look at the, this hemisphere more than anything. Anyway, do you guys have any questions about, what you've been seeing? Maybe some things I've not been addressing that you've been seeing out there. I'd love to chime in on something that you guys think is super important that I've just not been covering. But again, the immigration thing is just a huge thing for me because I see it every single day, and I feel like no one's doing anything about it. And every single time I see a post from Eric Burleson, I don't know, I feel even more black-pilled about it. I'm like, dude, you're really not doing anything about it. You know, he goes and lists out his priorities. Not one of them's immigration reform, not one of them's immigration restrictions or anything to do with our job sites. And then all of a sudden, okay, now you're working on, preventing prevailing wage from being a thing anymore, which is making it to where only American workers are working those jobs. So it's just like, dude, you're completely against us. You're not doing anything for us. It's kind of sad. Yeah, that's really a lot of it, guys. You know, I was also super disappointed with Lori Rook and her so far unresponse or no response currently that she's had with me. I also have an X Space live on Thursday. That's going to be great. That's going to be at 8:30, just like today. It's going to be on X. So if you know my account, it's John_J_Casey_. Yeah, I know, a lot of underscores. I guess there's a lot of Caseys out there. Yeah. Any questions you guys have? Anything you've been seeing at all out there in the community? Anything like that? I'd love to. Or it's so funny. I have all these haters online. They always want to say something, but I'd love to actually have a conversation with someone who disagrees with me too. You know, they always say they're going to come on here, and then I just don't ever hear from them. And it would be really nice to at least get the other side of it and discuss maybe why that's not a good idea, why I'm against it. So at least you have a plain view of why I'm against it and in my own words at the same time. All right. So not as active as last time for sure, but that's totally cool. What are we thinking? I'm going to give you guys just a second if you guys have anything. No worries if you don't. Let me see if I got any chats here. I don't think I do this time. No, sir. Man. Going on from the campaign, though, on June 13th, I'm going to have an event, or I'm going to be attending an event at what is it called? The Bass Pro Lodge over in Branson. What is that called? Top of the Rock? It's escaping me. The lodge. Gosh, what is that called? That's going to be June 13th. It's sort of a private event. I wish it was more open to the public. I guess it's a something for the Christian County committee over there. So I'm going to be attending that. Mr. Burleson's going to be there. I think it'll be good. It'll be a good opportunity, hopefully, to speak to him again. I try to not do the ambush interviews too much if I don't have to, but I feel like a lot of these politicians, they don't like to answer things directly. I don't know why. Bob Titus did at least address me directly on his comments. He does support Senate Bill 739, which I think is a horrible choice in my opinion. It does put, American businesses behind foreign nations. So completely un-American in my opinion, but he at least addressed me head on and had an opinion on it. Whereas Lori Rook is apparently she's apparently a lawyer, but she can't, read this small bill after I already stated it 4 times in a row what it is to make a decision, yes or no, whether it's a good decision or not. Oh, man. Things have been kind of wild, though. This is a kind of a huge ball. You have to try to start getting pushed forward, and you got to try and start figuring out things. I mean, me as a normal guy, how do you even start running for Congress as a normal guy? I mean, you guys got to sit there and ask yourself that. If you're just on your own right now, okay, I'm going to run for Congress right now. How do you even start? So this is a huge learning process for me. Just trying to figure things out as I go. And, again, people like Missy Hesketh, she had the whole Democratic Party behind her, even the last run. And I don't think she did a good time. She did a good run then. and she's doing it again now, So I think there's this huge movement that I believe in, that we need to push forward, that is actually America first, that will put Americans first and put the American worker first, And again, I feel like we're not seeing that at all. So that's why I feel like I have to step up. If we don't have that current representation and, I feel like we need it, then, me as a man, I cannot sit here and raise 4 men of my own and not stand up and do something about it, especially when I see it every day on the job site. Who am I as a man to be going to them maybe when they're 20, 21 years old or something like that, when this situation's even worse. And I'm like, yeah, I know I could have had the opportunity. It's been going on since back then, and yet I didn't do anything at all, So that's kind of why I'm doing something now, is because I do believe in it. I do believe something needs to happen. And if no one's going to step up, then I will step up, And if there's a better guy that steps up and believes in the same thing that I'm talking about, then I would love to get behind him if he has a better platform and actually wants to push that forward, then I'd love to do that. How would you combat the monopolization of the ag industry? I know a lot of the farms are being hurt by the largest seed and pesticide companies. No, I totally agree. With Monsanto and everything like that, and their ability to, go to farms and go, hey, you have this amount of seed of ours in your farmland, and they start suing people for their farmlands. That's kind of insane. That's been going on for now decades. You heard about, I feel like a lot of people watch these videos even in high school with the Monsanto Corporation and what's been going on, and the glyphosate, and then now on top of it, we have Trump opening the doors for, the Chinese to come in and buy farmland. That's insane. So yeah, no, I totally want to, well, first off, I want to stop really the Chinese farmland from happening, which I feel like this really sucks, because Republicans are always in a position where I feel like we're just digging the hole deeper, and we're not even addressing the same problems that were a problem 10 years ago. Now we're trying to address these new problems and still not address the ones from the past, like what you're talking about. But yeah, no, I do want to address that, and I want to address the Chinese buying up our farmland as well. And, I don't know how I would tackle the monopolies. I guess you'd have to do monopoly breaking. There's a lot of connections between BlackRock and a lot of these same organizations as well. And then also, who is a big one? Microsoft owner, Bill Gates. Bill Gates owns an insane amount of farmland as well. Crazy. No, I don't really have a huge amount of answers for that directly. Addressing all of the companies in a monopolization, I do think there needs to be more done about it. I don't like what's happening with the Chinese buying the farmland now too. They should be totally barred. But yeah, I don't like a lot of what's going on with the monopolization either. How are you planning on spreading out? I know I found you through looking through who was running to find you. So how do you plan on spreading your name out there? They also hold patents for 80% of the seed patents. Yeah, no. How do I plan on spreading the word? Well, right now, it's actually kind of working out here and there. I'm trying to just do it the best I can. Word of mouth. The people I see in the job site, door knocking, just everything I have within my power, brother. That's how I plan on spreading the word, and, try to make videos whenever I can. Just everything I can, and try to just take as much wisdom from people who are actually trying to help, what I believe in and what they believe in as well. I'm going to try and be as open as I can to guidance to people who know better than me, especially when it comes to these environments. Like I said, this is my first run at this. I'm not a politician at all. There's probably 100 better ways I could be doing the things I'm doing now. So this is a huge learning moment for me on how I can gain better exposure for this movement and push it forward. I want to try and do more events, more public events. But at the same time, a lot of that costs money. So I'm just now starting to get a donation or two in, which is great. I definitely appreciate the support from some of you guys out there. That's going directly to the website. I pay every day or every month. Every month I pay for a website. Every month I pay for all these things that you guys see a little bit here and there. It kind of adds up. So I do plan on doing, I'd like to do Have a Blast here soon. That's something I'd really like to go to. I talked to my wife about it. She's just really nervous about things happening there. I could see that a little bit, but I definitely think I need more exposure. I definitely need more public events, but it's just trying to coordinate them in time. And then it seems like I don't know. Me as a normal guy, at the same, because I'm not a politician. I go, okay, I don't know if that's the right time or the right place to be doing a political thing, So I get a little mixed, So if I had another guy maybe who was more experienced in this, he would help me out with that. But I'm just really making gut calls, as I go, and I'm trying to just spend as much of that time as I can wisely and accurately, as much as I can, So if that's making videos, editing videos, and on top of it, walking out there and knocking on doors, that's what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to try and meet people where they are. And, a huge part of that exposure is going to be these events that I have coming up, like the June 13th one. That'll help for sure. And then I also have that podcast coming up on Thursday. That'll help for sure. And that'll help me get connected to other people in the community that have been involved for years and kind of know how these things work. Because I'm a normal blue collar guy that, doesn't like being on his phone too much. So I know that isn't the best, but, I can't help that, So I am on it now quite a bit, but I'm saying like I'm not one of these guys that's been doing videos for years. I've been doing videos for 10 years and I'm the best editor. I know how to promote. I know how to do all this. Like, hey, I'm a guy that just lays wire up in a ceiling and I install fire alarms, So I'm going to do the best run I can, and I'm going to try and, take as much advice as I can from all the people around me and apply it to the things that are going on. And how are you planning on? Okay. Okay. That's a point in your favor. Okay, cool. So hopefully that wasn't too long-winded on kind of explaining that, but I do want to address your answer or address your question kind of directly, and I want to kind of give it its time at the same time, I love it. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, no, all I can do is really just push that needle forward, try to gain as much exposure as I can organically and be as honest as I can. And, just like kind of Alex Jones says, it's not, I don't really care about, if I have to have a bullhorn and I'm screaming under a underpass, on my own, if that's all it is and that's all it goes to, then that's fine, because I'm here to speak the truth. I don't care, what happens. It's already cost me a little bit here and there. People have threatened my wife, through Messenger and stuff, saying they're going to do stuff to her and my family. That stuff I could have avoided altogether if I could have just not done this, So, no, I think this is something huge. It's worth my time, and I am dedicated to it. And, this is something that's not going to stop. Even if I don't make it this time, even if I might not make it the next time, if we're not seeing real change, this is change that I actually believe in, that I actually want, that I actually think needs to happen. So, this isn't going to be the last you're going to see of me, even in this campaign, because this is something I really do believe in and I'm going to want to push forward and be a part of. If it's not me at the front, that's fine. I'm totally fine with that, but I'm definitely on a mission. That's why I'm trying to interview, the Forsyth mayor. Ask her what's going on there. Hey, why are you being impeached? I heard you're just asking normal questions. And on top of it, asking these state representatives, hey, why didn't you have an issue with Senate Bill 739 that clearly makes it to where, we're putting a foreign nation over American business owners? Why aren't you doing anything about that? Because, me doing that doesn't actually have anything directly to do with my campaign, I guess you could some people could kind of say I'm just doing it to get views or something like that. But no, it's actually something I do believe in, and no one's asking those questions around here. No one's finding out these things around here and actually going, hey, are you going to do anything about this? Or are you just going to be another GOP talking head that's going to just advance the agenda forward and never actually do anything for the American worker and for the American people? Are you just trying to say the hot button topics right now to try to just get in because you like a lot of the fame or what have you? You just like your name being on stuff. If so, that you're not for me, you know? If you're not actually trying to put the American worker first and actually make real change to do that, then you're not for me, you know? And it's just really exposing some of the lies that we've been seeing in the area, you know, from our state politicians, you know, to our national politicians, you know, how they're not working for us, how Eric Burleson is not working for us, how he is completely Israel first. You know, why is he going to Israel and going to the Western Wall with a Jewish hat on as a Christian and doing a Jewish ritual? It doesn't make any sense. You know, it's because he's paying fealty to that foreign nation. That's why he turned around and he, you know, has been paying so much foreign aid to them as well. You know, that's another reason why in 2020, before that, you know, he voted for, you know, in favor of Senate Bill 739 that makes it to where you cannot stand against the state of Israel as a business owner trying to do business with the state, you know? So it's just about exposing these politicians that are clearly do not have, you know, our best interests at heart, you know, or at least in my opinion, especially when you put a foreign nation before, you know, your constituents. In my opinion, you're not putting our interests for, you know, at first, you know. So my mission is really just to expose that and really just push something forward that I'm not seeing right now. And I'm very frustrated that we don't currently have this representation. You know, I feel like years ago I thought we did. And naive of me, I mean, clearly we didn't, you know. I mean, part of that was, you know, I was in the Marine Corps, you know, especially in 2020, I was in the Marine Corps. So, I mean, I kind of had to be like, I can't even think about politics right now. I mean, the way they do it over there, you know, if you say anything, you're going to get, you know, effed, you know, so you're done. You're done immediately. People were getting kicked out. People were getting, you know, NJPs, non-judicial punishments for saying anything, it seemed like. And it seemed like even in the Trump administration, like, excuse me, when I was in the Marine Corps, even in the Trump administration, it seemed like even sometimes you would side with President Trump or say something like that or say something right-wing and they'd still come after you. And it's like, if you were a liberal, then you'd be fine. It's kind of crazy. And then at the same time, when I was in the Marine Corps, I got in right as Trump got in, you know. So I got in January 2021. That's right or not 2021, I apologize. January 2017 and got out January 2021. But that was literally Trump's exact term, you know, those exact 4 years. So in that time, it kind of opens your eyes to really what's not been going on this whole time. You know, that's when we had transgenders in the military still that entire 4 years. I know we did something about it now. And then on top of it, you know, you couldn't post anything even right-leaning at all. And then as soon as Trump got out, you know, we had all this right-wing, you know, extremist training, you know, because of January 7th. And I'm like, dang, you know, not only did he not really change anything when it came to the military back then, you know, especially with a lot of the woke agenda we were seeing, but, you know, he kind of just left the door open to all that stuff happening to everybody. I don't know if they still do the extremist training or not. You know, I would really hope not, since we have Trump in, that they stop the extremist training, but we'll see. A lot of that stuff is just, I don't know if you guys have seen any of the training you have to do yearly and stuff like that. It is the biggest waste of time. It's like these HR people, I don't know who they are in the government. They do these long tests and videos that everyone has to do in the entire government, and it's just trash upon trash. Like no one's actually doing it. I don't know. Like everyone knows no one's doing it. Everyone's just clicking through it, and it's just BS. But it is what it is. It's just kind of how HR stuff is. That's what we need. Most honesty. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, no, if you guys have any questions, again, I know there's some newer people who just started tuning in right now. If you have any questions for me, I would love to hear them, especially if you have something maybe against my campaign. You know, I'd love to hear, you know, dissenting points as well, and maybe address some concerns that you guys might have. But I'm not going to be on too much longer. It's already almost been an hour. That's crazy. I kind of just was ranting, going on and on, but I at least want to sit here and kind of address your guys' issues if you guys have them. And I like to have an open opportunity, you know, for those critics online. They're always saying stuff about, you know, wanting to say something and then they never do. So it's kind of crazy. I almost like directly invite these people every time and they don't. So, I mean, I guess it's good because at the same time, they kind of forced me into like feeling like I had to do this every week. So now I'm doing it every week. So I guess it is what it is. You know, the opportunity is still open for them, but it's a little annoying that they still haven't taken it, you know, because I'd love to hear from them. I'd love to hear and address directly all those things you guys hate about me, you know. But so far, it's not happened. I don't know. I mean, I post them all. You know, I share this this live to all those groups every single time. And I think I did it the same day, but I didn't hear anything back. But that's okay. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I love it. Oh, well, I don't know if there's a whole lot I'm thinking of right now. I cannot think of anything right off the bat right now that's hitting me right now. If you guys have any more questions, I'll stay on here just a little bit longer for you. Or if I think of something right now that maybe I haven't addressed, I'll hit it with you. But I'm just trying to think right now if I have anything. They hide the comments half the time. I wish I could actually talk to them because I suck at texting. Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. Oh, man. I know why there can't be, but I would love it if we could do voice chats almost in the Facebook comments. That would be world changing if we could do that. It'd be like a Call of Duty lobby in Modern Warfare 2, like back in 2008 or 2010 or whenever it came out. I think it's 2012. That would be insane. People would just be talking trash all the time on the comments. But I think that would honestly be the best conversations because, yeah, no, I cannot break down. I just feel like I have a better time articulating myself, at least with my voice than text for sure. I mean, I can get the point across, but I definitely have a problem sounding too gruff when it comes to text. I sound very mean. So at least when I'm speaking it, you can actually kind of tell my tone and how I mean it. You know, so I definitely agree with you. That would be a lot better if we could do something like that. You kind of can. Yeah, I love it. You kind of can. Can you? Maybe we just start doing that. I don't know. That'd make it to where, you know, we don't get banned as much as well. You know, if we have anything controversial we need to say. I mean, I think it'd be a lot harder for the AI to ban you. Maybe it'd be just the same now. Maybe it's gotten good enough to where it wouldn't matter. But I haven't seen it to where you could. I mean, I guess you could kind of post, depending on how they have the comments restricted, you can kind of post videos or pictures. So you might be right. All right, man. All right, I think I'm going to head off here soon. If you guys have any questions, now's the time. Anything I've not addressed at all, something you know that needs to happen. Maybe you've been seeing. I can never get the tone right. Yeah, no, yeah, 100%, dude. No, dude. Whenever I'm commenting, people will pearl clutch and they will be upset with me most of the time. Because I like to be very direct, you know. People take directness and honesty as like being the biggest a-hole possible, and I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to do it. I'm just trying to say this with as little words as possible and direct as possible, how I mean it, and that's it. And people take that as aggression every time. 9 times out of 10 or 10 times out of 10, they will take that as aggression. So, yeah, I think maybe I should just address people. Maybe I should start doing that. You know, whenever these haters say something, I just address it, you know, with a voice text. It'd probably go over a lot better half the time. Or maybe it wouldn't, you know. Sometimes people are just going to hate no matter what, no matter who they are. But, you know, hopefully at least they kind of tell your heart in it, you know, because I try to be as honest as possible, and I'm really not hateful. I know, I guess it comes off that way on a lot of the comments, but I don't know. like a lot of these comments where people have a problem with me, I feel like it's just a misunderstanding of the vibe, you know. Well, I hope you have a good night. Yeah, you as well, brother. Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your questions. You know, I appreciate you guys for coming out and at least watching the video, seeing what's up. If you have anybody who, you know, has any questions about maybe the campaign, what's been going on, maybe what you'd like to see, I'd love to have them on. You know, if you guys believe in what I'm doing, please spread the message. Please share. I cannot do it without people like you. This is a grassroots movement. I'm a normal blue collar guy. I don't have all these funds. You know, this campaign has been completely financed by just what little money I have, you know, left over every paycheck. So, you know, like I got a square body outside. I'd love to put a fuel pump on right now. It's only a $30 part, you know, but I can't necessarily afford to spend that because I'm doing things here and there. You know, so it's a project truck either way, but you know, it's like, oh, I'd love to get that done, you know, but I just feel like this is a huge thing. So I'm fine with making small sacrifices, but again, I can't do it without you guys. This is a grassroots movement. Again, I don't have all that advertising money like everyone else does. So that is going to be the biggest thing that you guys can do for me is just share and let people know around you what's going on, you know, why I stand for what I stand for. And, you know, just spreading the word, you know, because without you, I can't make a difference, you know, and, you know, I want to put the American people first, and I feel like we're not getting that right now. Anyway, thank you guys so much. Show up to the polls, rather, August 4th. Thank you so much and have a blessed day. All right, let me end this thing here.